Hey, welcome back to another episode of A Warrior Spirit, where we let the inner warrior shine in their light. Today I have Sherry Euclid. Uh, did I pronounce that right, Sherry?
Eklund.
Eklund, sorry.
Yes. That's okay.
Um, Sherry is the founder of I Am Teen Strong, which is a online presence for helping young girls get through their teenage issues and also in the prevention of suicide. So I'm honored to have you, Sherry, and I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
So, Sherry, it's my understanding your background, if we jump back a ways to childhood, normal teen, normal childhood, mom, dad married, older sibling,
Yep.
nothing traumatic.
No, it was mom and dad, sister 3 years older, living in Southern California. And yeah, just typical childhood. Although I'll tell you, it's interesting. I don't know why, but I remember growing up thinking, I'm going to leave California and I want to marry somebody from the Midwest. And I moved to Arizona in 1991, met my husband from Iowa in 1996. So there
Nice.
you go.
So you manifested it right away. Yeah.
I did, you know?
I'm actually
Yeah.
from Iowa as well. So those
Oh, okay.
Midwest
He's from
boys.
Urbandale.
Okay. It's down by Des Moines. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. Well, so you're good at manifesting. As a as someone who's in the, teen suicide prevention, helping young girls business that you are, um, what was your childhood like as far as other than just being mom and dad boring? Like, did you have the desire to always be the helper, or were you kind of, how did that all come about for you?
You know, I've always been a pleaser and I've always wanted everything just to be just perfect. And I don't like drama in people's lives. I don't like to watch it. I don't want to hear about it. Um, I just want everything to go well. And I just remember, even as a kid, watching telethons and always being drawn into helping the community, helping kids, and all of that. So, yeah, I've just always been kind of quiet, but observant,
Mm-hmm.
and just always wanting to be the pleaser. And I'm the quiet one in the family, and I just kind of sit back and watch and then just kind of blossom from there. But yeah, it was just, a typical California lifestyle. Yeah.
It's the surfer life without the surfboard.
Exactly. Going to the beach and putting um, oil on, baby oil on, so you can get that tan. Oh my God. Yeah. Coming home, just lobster.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, now, if we fast forward to, after you were married, you and your husband had a business that was not in this teen world yet.
Yes.
What was your business that you and your husband were doing?
We did aerial photography, and that came about. He got his private pilot's license. And then we're like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun, but boy, is it expensive. So I'm
Mhm.
thinking, well, let's just create a business that supports it. And so we bought an airplane and we just started flying. And it really was a business, no pun intended, that really took off very quickly and easily for us.
Mhm.
And we really got to document the growth of our state. And it was very exciting. Going up to Sedona for breakfast or afternoon piece of pie or something. I mean, we were living the life. So it was a lot of fun, but very different from for where I am today.
And then the same thing that happened to me happened to you, because I was in the graphic design business around that same time. Websites became drop and drag. And so I thought, well, then I'll go into photography. And then the technology of the phone made it so everyone thought they could take a picture. So
Yes.
at your time, doing actual flying, technology caught up with you and drones
Yeah.
became an issue. And
Yes. It did. I mean, we literally had a business that was up here that went, like that. So it was just like, it gave me though the opportunity to create a new journey for myself. And this is exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. This is exactly the work that I'm supposed to be doing. And I love it every day.
So tell me the transitional period, because you don't just sit up in an airplane going, this is a good place for teen suicide, you know.
Yeah.
So how does that transition come about?
We actually were going to start an online magazine for aviation. And we started moving that business forward. And then my husband's like, well, I'm busy with my work. He's a contract estimator for commercial construction companies. He's like, I'm not sure this is where I'm going to go with this. And I'm thinking, okay, well, you're kind of the aviation guy. So if you're not into it, we're not doing it. But I loved the idea of an online magazine. And then going back to my educational roots, my bachelor's degree is in child development. My master's is in educational computing. So I loved this online magazine thing. Always being a pleaser, wanting to help in the community and so forth. It just was kind of making sense that I did something around kiddos. And I've been very involved with the Mesa Chamber over the last several years, and going to community events and programs. I was learning more and more about the struggles that teens were having in our community, especially with suicide rates. I was also hearing more stories on the news and in the internet and so forth. And I thought, you know what? What if we have an online magazine for girls, but our twist is we're not talking about fashion and makeup and things like that, but we're talking about real life situations. How are we going to get through those difficult teen years? How are we going to have a positive body image? How are we going to talk to our parents about things that we need to talk to them about? Understanding relationships and so forth, and then taking it to the next level of having that directory of resources for them. And so it just kind of really evolved where it's like, okay, I want that online magazine presence, but we need to go further than that. If we want to make a difference in our community, fill that need in the community, we need to have this directory. And I just started doing more and more research and thinking, yes, this really is needed out there. And so it was just like, okay, I'm doing it. And I went for it. Yeah.
Well, I have a couple questions. One, I pretty much already know the answer to, just because of being a Midwest guy, but you went from co-pilot to, I'm gonna put on this magazine for teens. What was your husband's initial reaction?
He was good. He was taken aback. He was surprised, but he loved it. And he's been supportive from day one. He really has. And I wouldn't be able to continue without his support on every level. But yeah, I come up with ideas all the time. So that part wasn't, a shocker, but it was different and it was risky. And, I didn't have the connections in the mental health community that I do now. I didn't have the connections to the writers that I do now. I was literally starting from scratch. And our other businesses that we haven't had that before. We've always had connections. We've always had built-in clientele. So this was just like completely different and new, but very supportive.
But the difference is the passion
Yes.
and your reasoning behind it, and that will carry you through any of those hurdles of not knowing and what the unknown is, because your passion will carry you to those answers. And you can see when you talk about this, you can see your passion, you can see your fire burning. So my question would be, how in this day and age where you can't get teens to do much of anything, how did you go about building an audience to where they would tune into what you were putting out?
It's been all about connecting with nonprofits in the community, talking to them about what resources they have and how we can partner, and then getting out into the schools. And it's not easy getting connected with the schools.
Mhm.
They're very careful about who they let in, what resources they let in. Even though I'm a free resource, it's a website. It's not subscription based or anything like that. So we're just free directory, free articles to support the kiddos and their parents, but there's still pushback. And so it's just been a matter of continuing to get out there, partnering with social workers on an individual personal basis, so they can, when they have kids in crisis that they're working with, here, let me show you this website. This website's got some resources. Check out this article. You might find it personally connecting to you. And it's just constantly going out into the community. Again, the schools, the nonprofits, connecting with the social workers, the psychologists, the psychiatrists, all of that, making those relationships and those connections. That's how we're getting the readership, because they're
Well,
sharing with the kiddos.
yeah, I am Teen Strong is a great domain and a website and a great resource. I've been on there and I've seen. But what I really appreciate about what you've done, Sherry, is that even at our age, with past successes, you were humble enough to go knock on doors. You were humble enough to build those relationships from the bottom up. You were willing to do the work. And that actually relates over to the teen as well, because if they see someone at the top who still has that humbleness to do the dirty work,
Yeah.
it gives them more ease to still be in the grind, you know?
Yeah, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And one of the components of the website that I really appreciate is the stories that inspire. And those are real life stories that women in their early 20s up to about 50 have shared their personal life story in an effort to encourage the young girls, the readers, to say, yes, you can get through this tough situation, whatever that might be, and you're going to come out stronger on the other end. So people can do the dirty work, as you say, and then you're gonna do it too. You're gonna get there, and you're gonna overcome the different hurdles. And we hear it a lot, you're not alone, but to really get that message through to the kids, that's crucial.
Absolutely. It's when people are going through whatever their mess they're going through, and then because it's unique to them, but it's not unique, like it's a universal, we all have crap we're going through.
Right.
Our crap is unique to us, but the underlying situation isn't unique. And when we figure out that we are actually not alone in it, it makes it easier to lean in and get that help and ask for the guidance to get through the other side. So because you're online predominantly, how do you go about hearing some of the success stories? How do you go about connecting with some of those people who've read your magazine or read an article or used a resource and now they are thriving or succeeding or through their mess?
I've been very fortunate that people have shared their story. And so people have reached out to me and emailed me or called me to let me know the situation. And even though the focus of the website is for teen girls, the first life that we helped save that we know about was a teen boy. And his mom reached out to say, this is what happened to my son. And if it wasn't for you and your website, he would not be with us today. So it's been very nice that people have shared their story. And that's, again, having those connections and relationships in the community, so that when somebody does hear of a story within their community, they let me know. So I know that there was a young girl, 17-year-old out in Virginia, who her aunt was concerned about her. And this young gal spoke very little English, but the website's available in Spanish as well. And so she used our website, and I won't go into the details, but through our website, her life was changed and probably saved. And so again, people sharing their story with me, or telling the social worker this is what's happened to my child or whatever, and then them sharing it with me. So it goes back to having those relationships in the community and people being willing to share.
That's awesome. How long have you been doing this now with IM?
This week will be 5 years since we launched the website. Yes.
So what's the overall change that you've seen develop in those 5 years? Like, is there an arc to the progression of the story, or is it still the same story that's being told from 5 years ago? Like, what are you seeing that's changing?
I would say, when I first started, I wanted to be everything to everyone.
The pleaser.
And I wanted to go for this cause and this cause and this cause. And you can't do that. So I've developed my lane. And my lane is supporting teen girls and those who identify as female, basically 12 to 18 years. So that's been one of the big evolutions in the content, is making sure that we stay in our lane and are supported for that. As I've made the connections, I work with a lot of social workers, counselors, and so forth, and they're telling me, okay, this is what we're seeing right now. These are the topics that we need to be writing about and sharing on the website. So that has been another evolution. So it's, one thing I think that's really popped up for me is identity issues. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, when I was growing up, there weren't those, the questions, or wasn't the questioning of your identity, your sexual orientation, and so forth. And so that's been another evolution that, we're trying to meet the kids where they're at and making sure that we're addressing, their own issues, but also how are you supportive of your friends, So yeah, there's been a lot of evolution. We're also trying to be more engaging, so maybe changing that up a little bit. I'm all about teen self-care, so I always try and incorporate that into the website as well, which that was not there before.
The image that comes to mind is a modern day Big Brothers, Big Sisters type, where you're pairing a younger person with a mentor who's been down the road and can help kind of guide them. This seems like an online version of doing that. So
yes, absolutely.
I think that's kind of cool. Also, you were nonprofit for the last 5 years. You're officially.
Well, we've been for profit.
Been for profit.
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been for profit? Oh, you're transitioning to nonprofit.
Correct. Oh. So when we launched 5 years ago, we've been an LLC for profit, using an online business magazine as our model. But now we're going to become a 501c3. And so we're super excited about that. That's, when I started, I didn't have that connection in the community. And now it just seems like a natural evolution and progression to become a nonprofit. And most people think I'm a nonprofit anyways. So because we're very mission driven. Yeah. So now we just kind of ease right into it. We'll be able to do more programs, virtual and in person. We have some virtual camps that we'll be able to get some sponsorships for and so forth. So we're super excited to make that transition.
And does the nonprofit status give you an easier pathway to some of the schools? because now you're not trying to do something?
I think to a certain extent it will, because they will look at it a little bit differently. But again, they have certain criteria that they're working with, and they're very nervous about sharing resources or information because they don't want to get in trouble, and they don't want anybody, coming to them and having issues and so forth. So I think it will to some extent. We'll see how it plays out. In my directory, I have one of the sections is on pregnancy and sexual health. And I have all sides of the spectrum on that. I'm a provider of information. I don't take a view, but I do have Planned Parenthood in the directory because that's a service. And so I get a lot of pushback from that. And so there are times that schools say, no, we're not going to support that.
It's interesting because that was the question popping in my head as we were talking. Like, I know that you deal in teen, prevention and suicide, but teen pregnancy has been a huge issue for many years. And so my question was going to be, how are you addressing that? And have you seen a rise or fall in the teen pregnancy,
The rates I don't really know about. I'm stronger in the suicide prevention area, but one thing that I've really tried to do, and it's been a struggle because I don't know why it's just been a struggle, but trying to be supportive of the girls from a physical standpoint. So there was this was about a year and a half ago. I was at the Hallmark store, and this young girl, she looked like she was early high school, and she was there with her mom and some friends or siblings. I don't know what the situation was, but she was very pregnant. And I thought, I need to make sure that I'm addressing those issues. So how to have a healthy teen pregnancy, how to keep your diet appropriate when you're pregnant, and things like that. So we had some articles on that. So trying to be as supportive of wherever they are. And it's not for me to judge. It's for me to get that information and support out there.
Right. And I think, pregnancy at any age is challenging, at a teen, especially, my daughter's 24 and she's not been pregnant, but I know the angst of a teenager, and I know the issues that she's had to deal with. So a teenage girl in general is an angsty period of time. You throw in peer pressure, the fashion magazines, the Kardashians, the pregnant, you throw all that in, and now you just got a time bomb. So more of what you're doing is definitely needed out there. So
thank you. Yeah.
How can anyone who's listening to us today help support what you're doing if it touches their desire to do so?
Go to the website, check it out, share, spread the word, follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. I don't do Twitter anymore. But follow us and really just share the word. Although we still are at this point an LLC for profit, people can still donate to us and just not get those tax credits. But just share as much as you can. Understand the website is non-judgmental. We're a resource for the parents and the kiddos, and just help us get the word out and out and out. And if there's a connection, if somebody knows of an organization or facility or community program that's not in the directory, shoot me an email. Through the website, info@imteenstrong.com. Reach out. If you have a kiddo who, in Arizona, I'm pretty connected. If somebody needs help getting a referral for a therapy or something like that, Yeah, just any way that we can do support, we'll take it. But right now, it's still getting the word out, letting people know that we're here.
Yeah, I've been to your site, like I said, and I've read some of the articles, and they are a great resource for individuals who are going through teen drama, even though you don't.
Yeah,
You said,
teen life in general.
yeah,
Yes, thank
yeah.
you.
Even though you said you don't like drama, you're immersed in a lot of
Yeah,
teen drama.
I want to get rid of that drama. Here's the tools to do that. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly,
Well,
exactly.
I think it's an incredible resource and much needed for sure.
Thank
Um,
you.
by the time this airs, we're going to be heading into 2024. So what do you see on the immediate horizon for other than becoming an
A
nonprofit?
nonprofit.
Yeah, what do you see for I Am Teen Strong and for yourself?
A lot more programs. We're going to be right now. We've created some virtual half-day programs. They're like 2 hours. They're the camps, but being more involved. And I have an app in mind that I want to be able to create to support the girls, but being more visible in our local community and in Arizona, launching into other states. So right now, when people go into the directory, there's a national hotline and helpline space. There's also for Arizona and Colorado. We launched Colorado about a year and a half ago. It looks like Utah will be next. So just kind of keep transitioning to other markets to help get those directories in place and spreading that word. Just a lot more programs, not just the website, but more engaged in the community, but also, virtually as well.
I imagine that COVID in some ways, although it created a lot more issues for teens, I can imagine in some ways it helped because you were an online presence for people who were nothing but online at the time.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, it was an interesting period. It really was, for as we all know, for various reasons. So yeah, it was nice to be able to have and be an online resource, most definitely.
Yeah, it's nice you didn't have to pivot too far off of what you were
Yeah,
already.
exactly. Exactly. We were
Um,
there.
you were there, and so I asked one last question, and I ask it of every one of my guests. What does a warrior spirit mean to Sherry?
Getting the work done, being that conduit in the community, um, and never giving up. Find that passion and go with it. We talked about that earlier. I have that spirit. I have that passion, and for me, that's my warrior spirit. I'm not giving up on the kiddos. I'm here for them, and we're just going to keep growing.
I love that. Well, I appreciate your time today. We'll drop some links so that people can find you online. And again, anyone who is in that position, I've been to the website. I've read some of the articles. It is a fabulous resource for people in that situation. So please use it and reach out if you're in need of help for sure. So,
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Gary, thank you. And you have a blessed rest of your night.
Thank you, you as well.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.